everybody, welcome back to my channel and to another balloon video. In this one we're going to be making some big towers. They're very similar to the tabletop ones that I made a few weeks ago. I'll link that above and down below for you in the description if you haven't seen that video. This one is more of an outdoor decor type design. It's virtually the same sort of thing but just on a bigger scale, so we just need to be more mindful of weights and things like that for outdoor use. We're going to jump straight in and I'm going to go through all the bits and bobs that you'll need to make these designs. This is everything that we're going to need for creating a project like this, but first of all what I'm going to do is quickly go through the equipment that we're going to use for inflation, and then I'll go through the materials that you'll need as well. So I have a hand pump here, but to be perfectly honest, this probably isn't something that you'll use for inflating the size of the balloons that we're using today and the quantity that we're using. It's not a very efficient method of inflation if you're doing a bigger scale project. So it's good to have one to use in case you need it if the electric one breaks down, for instance, but it's not what I would recommend for doing a balloon job like this one. What I do recommend is something like this. This is my little electric inflator. It's got the plug and the lead all hidden in this little pocket here, which is handy. It's got a couple of different size nozzles that you can put onto here. The other one I think is on my desk somewhere. I'm not sure why, but yeah, this is what I use when I'm at home prepping jobs for the weekend. So it's not a professional balloon inflator per se, but it does the job and it's cheap and easy to use, and I would recommend this. It is from Amazon. I'll pop a link down below for you if you want to take a quick look at this one. I bought this for about £15 and you do quite often see them on offer. Just be sure that you get the correct one for the voltage in your country, because they do have different ones on there, and also European plugs as well. The other thing that you'll need, let's just move that box out of the way, is one of these. This is a balloon sizer, because we're doing air-filled balloons and this is a classic decor piece. We want them to all be uniform and all to be the same size. So I'm using a Qualatex sizing board here. This one actually fits together to make a big cube, but I prefer to use mine like this, all taken apart. You can see there's little holes in them where you can put them together with stretchy bits of elastic, but I like mine like this. So that's all you're going to need really equipment wise, apart from like a pair of scissors and that sort of thing. So for materials, what I've got here is all these different coloured latex balloons. These are what I'm going to be using today in these two towers. Then I've got these nice lime green foil balloons here. Let's just see. Yeah, these are Qualatex ones. I can tell the Qualatex because they've got the Supra foil logo on them there. And then I've just got a roll of curling ribbon, and that's just to put them all together. First thing to do then is get the inflator plugged in, and it's really simple to use. It's literally push down on this side and it inflates. You can do two at a time. It just saves a lot of time when you're inflating. So let's grab these balloons. These are 11-inch Qualatex pearl balloons in pearl orange, pearl lime green, pearl sapphire blue, pearl red. So they are what we're going to be using today. These towers are going to be 6 layers high. So we just want to lay out our balloons first of all. I'm just going to move the camera down so that you can see this. So this is my big heap of balloons. Let's work out how we're going to do this. So I'm thinking maybe one in each layer. So I'm going to just make 12 layers of balloons all laid out on the floor like this, just to get me started. So I've got all my balloons laid out ready, so now I know exactly how many I've got to inflate. Before I get started with inflation, I'm going to make some water weights. So I've got a couple of balloons here. These are just my spares. What I'm going to do is just pop one inside of another just to make them a touch stronger, because they are going to be going outside, and then I'll just pull that up. So double layer them up, and then I can fill that quite heavily with water to make that into a really good weight. Let's do another one. Okay. I'm just using a metal straw to do that as well. You can use whatever you've got on hand, paintbrush or a straw, whatever works for you. There we go. So now we've got 2 balloons ready to be filled with water. I'm going to go and do that off camera. You don't really need to see me do that. Once I've got those, I'll come back and we'll start inflating. Alright then, I've got everything set up and I'm ready to go. So what I'm going to do first of all is make sure that I inflate everything together in the same combinations, just to make it easy when I'm putting everything together. So by that what I mean is all my orange and my reds will be duplets together, then all my blues and my greens will be duplets together, because then when I get to the end and want to put everything together, I'll know that I've got the right combination and the right quantities to do that. So what I'm going to do is just inflate everything and then put it all together. So when you start off, you're going to want to grab your 2 balloons. Just over-inflating them ever so slightly. And then all I do is grab my sizer and I just let them down to fit within the centre of that balloon circle there. Then I've got my 2 balloons together. What I do is cross them over and then twist and tie those together underneath there. So that is a duplet to start with. We're going to do that with all of them and just keep going, and then once they're all done we will be ready to put our towers together. The reason that I over-inflate them, so they're quite a bit bigger than the 10 inches I actually need, is because when I put them through here, I like to shrink them down to the size that they need to be. And then that just makes them a little bit more supple, so they are less likely to pop under pressure when they are in the columns. So these now feel a lot more squishy than they did when I first inflated them. And if you are doing a project like this and you inflate these to the full size, which is 11 inches, you're going to notice that the balloons are really hard and they're not squishy at all. And there's more chance of you having a failure in your column than if you are overinflating and letting them down. It's really very similar to when you were little and you used to watch the balloon modelling man inflate the balloons after stretching them. It's the same sort of thing, because we're just stretching them by inflating them rather than stretching them out like they do when they make a balloon dog. Here they all are then. This is 24 duplets all ready to be made into quads and then put into towers. So let's start making our quads. I'm going to show you how to do that now. It's super duper easy. So in order to make a quad, all you'll want to do is just get 2 of your sets of balloons, so one in the green and blue and then one in the orange and the red. Hold them by their knots in the centre, just cross them over with each other here, push them together and just twist them together. You can do 2 twists or as many as you feel comfortable with, and that is a quad. I'm going to do that now with all of my balloons, and then I'm going to start piling them up on top of each other, ready to make them into the towers. Next thing that we need to do then is put the weights on the bottom of the balloon. So these are the weights that I'm using. As I showed you earlier, they are double stuffed latex balloons, and I've made them pretty big and hefty actually, so they're going to hold these down really, really well. So what you want to do is tie these now into the bottoms of one of your quads. It's easy to do, but you just need to be careful when you're doing it that you don't split anything. So make sure you've got your balloons in the configuration that you want. So I'm going with orange next to green and then the red and the blue together. What I'm going to do is just tie this into my quad at the bottom. And it can be quite tricky to do because it's quite stiff having the 2 together, but you'll get that on there. So the weight, as you can see, is on the bottom there, and it's going to hold down this tower of balloons really, really well. So I'm just going to have that as my base. Next thing I'm going to do is grab myself my ribbon, and I'm going to just start off at the bottom just by putting it underneath and onto the top of my quad. Now I'm going to just tie this into this one, and I'm just going to grab my scissors and just cut off that spare bit of ribbon because we don't really need that there. Next what I'm going to do is start piling up my balloons on the top. And I just want to make sure that I've got the same configuration with all my balloons. Okay, so let's put everything together. So we want to just keep our balloons the same, and we're just going to hold our ribbon and just wrap it around each layer as we add them on. Just be sure with every layer that you add that you check that your swirl is going in the right direction for each colour. There's the tower complete then, and I'm happy with how that is sitting. What I'm going to do now is get my ribbon and just go all the way back down, just holding on to the balloons as I go in a figure of 8 motion, just to ensure that they are not going to come apart at all. It just gives them a little bit of extra stability. So my towers are done. Let's just put them to one side so you can see both of them. There we go. They are exactly the same size. Miraculous, I know, but that is a testament to how we've sized them and how we've kept everything really uniform, because the balloons are dead on 10 inches in every single one of those that I've inflated. So now it's really, really hard to make them be a different size unless you have messed up with your sizing, or you've messed up with putting them together and pushed down too much. Then you may find that they do have a different height on them, but with these it looks pretty good. The next thing that we want to do then is inflate these stars. So I know I said I wasn't going to use a hand pump in this project, but because it's quite hot today and I've run my inflator for quite a long time to get these inflated as they are, I'm going to actually use the hand pump on the foil, because the electric inflator does get quite hot when it's working, and it therefore means that the balloon gets quite hot with the hot air that's going into it. So it's swings and roundabouts in a way, because it makes this so that it looks like it's full, but then in about 20 minutes time it will have cooled down and it will look like it's gone down a little bit. And we want to get this done and dusted really. So what I'm going to do is inflate them with my hand pump. Now it's going to take me a while, so I won't film the whole thing. I'm just going to take 2 of these out. I'll put all the codes and everything for these balloons down below for you as well, so you can see them. These balloons have got self-sealing valves on their necks, so it does make it a lot easier. These ones are quite difficult to get open on the neck, so if you are struggling, just keep going with your hand pump until it lets the valve release. As you can see, they are quite difficult to inflate. When you get to your balloon being about this full, you want to slow down with your inflation and just make sure that you don't go too fast, because it's really easy to pop your balloon or damage the seams if you do overinflate it. So I just suggest slowing down and just inflating bit by bit until your balloon has gone quite hard. But as these are going outside and it's quite hot in the UK at the moment, I'm going to leave them like that, because when they're outside in the sun tomorrow, they are going to expand, and therefore they could do with a little bit extra leeway in there, rather than them being full now and then having lost any of that extra leeway. So this means that I think that these will last all day outside tomorrow without any damage to them. Next then, you want to grab a piece of ribbon, and just about 1 metre or so will do. You don't need anything too long for this part. We're just going to tie our balloon and then attach it onto the tower. So for this part I'm just going to utilise my wall here. So what I'm going to do is just hold the balloon up against the wall like this with my leg. I've got my piece of ribbon here. I'm just going to fold it roughly in half, and I've got my fingers in the middle of that piece of ribbon now. Where your finger is in the centre of that ribbon, just pop it over your balloon, fold over that piece of the neck, and then just roll the ribbon and the neck together. And then it's going to look like this. What you'll want to do then is get your ribbons, just cross them over, tie a knot through, and just pull that tight. And that is what it will look like just there. Once you've got that, you want to just tie another knot in there. just to hold that together. And that's how it should look once you've tied your ribbon on there. Then we're going to use these extra bits of tail here to attach it onto the tower. So let's do that now. As you can see behind me, I've already done the one tower. I'm just going to do this one now and show you what to do. So here's my big star. It's got its ribbon attached to it. All I'm going to do is grab my tower here, and I'm going to get my 2 pieces of ribbon, and I am going to place my balloon on the top of that tower in the position that I want it to be. And it's just sitting in between each one of the duplets there. So what I've got is my ribbon coming down the one side, and then I've got my ribbon coming down the other side. So what I can do now is just pull that down and just tie that on. I'm just going to wrap it around a couple of times just to ensure that it's not loose and the balloon is not wobbly on the top. Once you have done that, what I would do is get your 2 ends together on one side and just tie them into a knot again, and just do the same again with a double knot so that it's nicely well attached. These little tails, I wouldn't cut them off, or just put them straight into the centre of the balloons, and then they are done and dusted, and that balloon is ready to go. So that's it, guys. That is our balloon towers all done and dusted. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you found it useful. I'll tag everything down below for you that you might need materials wise and equipment wise. If you've got any questions or comments, drop them down below as well, and I'll always try to answer them where I can. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon for another video. Bye!